Hey guys, Josh here, and recently I've been wondering what is a cozy game? In the last few years, we have seen the term cozy being used to describe a wide variety of genres, from farming games like Story of Seasons and Stardew Valley, to life sims like Animal Crossing or The Sims, but also shopkeeping games, survival games, and more. I absolutely love these games, but I often find myself wondering if cozy is the best way to describe them. I recently started playing a game called Sky Children of the Light, and I think I found an answer to my question. This video is sponsored by Sky. The game is releasing on Steam on April 10th, and it is free to play, so please check it out using the link in the description, and then let me know in the comments if your experience is similar to mine or not. So by definition, cozy means giving a feeling of comfort, warmth, and relaxation. It is true that farming and life sim games do tend to be comforting and relaxing, but so do a ton of other games. A turn-based RPG can be relaxing, a platformer can be comforting. Why don't we call all of them cozy games? How do we decide as gamers what is a cozy game and what is not? And also, the cozy feeling is often not the main feature of these farming and life sim games. Most of the time, these games are about time management, running your own farm or business, and they'll occasionally include dating, combat, crafting, and even though they can make you feel cozy, it's more of a side effect rather than their main purpose. On top of that, some players might even feel overwhelmed by the amount of mechanics and things to do in these so-called cozy games, so I often question why that word is used so often. So I started playing Sky Children of the Light, and I realized that this game was the embodiment of cozy. A game that could truly be described with that word, as the main mechanics are all about making you feel comfortable, warm, and relaxed. So we'll go through each of these adjectives one by one, and I'll explain why I think Sky is the ultimate cozy game. So the first one is comfort, the feeling you have when you're at home, surrounded by the things you know and love, and away from the pain or the unknown. With any new game, a bit of discomfort is to be expected. You're learning the controls, the different mechanics, and it can take a while before getting used to everything. To be completely honest, when I first dived into the world of Sky, I was a bit confused. There were a few prompts here and there telling me what to do, but the tutorial was pretty vague, never explaining things in great details. That being said, I was not uncomfortable. Some games bombard you with pop-ups and lots of text telling you how to play and what to do, which more often than not makes it difficult to retain information and can feel overwhelming. Sky takes a different approach and lets you figure things out on your own at your own pace. It doesn't punish you for taking too long, you can't really mess up or lose progress. For the few times when I had no idea where to go next, I simply had to press a button and an icon would appear showing me the way to the next objective, meaning I could never get completely lost. The game had a way of making me feel at ease as I was discovering its world for the first time, and even though I did not know everything, it made sure that I never got stuck or become helpless, which was very comforting. The controls also played a big part in making Sky a comfortable experience. They're very simple and intuitive, so it didn't take long before I was running and jumping on grass plains, flying and gliding through the clouds, or surfing down a snowy mountain. The movement is not the most quick or precise, in fact it is rather floaty, which made me feel like I was in a dream. Of course, the game does not really require you to do any precise or difficult platforming. Most areas are large and open, letting anyone with a controller or a keyboard pick up the game and enjoy it right away. I eventually made my way to the end, and without spoiling anything, the game does encourage you to do multiple playthroughs, and that's what makes the whole process of learning and discovering things by yourself or with other players, rather than through tutorials, so much more rewarding. As I revisited the different realms for a second time, I understood things I didn't understand at first, I saw things I didn't notice previously, and I had a better idea of what to look for in order to make more progress. So while on my first playthrough I was just going with the flow without thinking too much, the second time I knew the world and its mechanics better, and I enjoyed it in a completely different way, feeling like I had grown as a player. So I would say that Sky has a very comforting flow and an intuitive feel to it. While it can take time for some things to become clear, the game doesn't penalize you for playing however you want, making it very approachable. Now, the second thing you need in order to be cozy is warmth. Warmth is often associated with social interactions, So surrounding yourself with people who will show you affection, kindness, support. And so for this part, I'd like to discuss the social aspect of Sky. As an introvert, I usually tend to stick to single player games. I feel more relaxed playing by myself, and I'm not the most comfortable when having to chat with strangers in a game. I overthink what I say, and I can feel pressure whenever other people rely on me, or feel like a burden when I'm the one relying on them. So I typically stay away from multiplayer games unless I'm playing with people I'm comfortable with. That's why for my first few hours of playing Sky, I experienced the game mostly on my own, and it was great. I did see a lot of other players, but they were all colorless, almost looking like NPCs or ghosts, so I didn't pay them too much attention, and I was just doing my own thing. Eventually, I got curious and started interacting with other players. If two players get close to each other and light each other's candle up, their true appearance will be revealed. So they will transform from a vague gray character to what the character actually looks like. This makes it so you can easily spot them among all of the other players, and so from time to time I would light up someone's candle, and we would follow each other either just for a few minutes or throughout a whole portion of the game. Sometimes we would lose sight of each other and then our paths would cross again later, and we would communicate through sounds our characters can make or emotes. I absolutely loved these minimal interactions. You don't really know what the other person is trying to say. Maybe they want to show you something, maybe they want your help. The communication is very vague, but I always had a smile on my face whenever I was experiencing something with other players. The game also encourages players to work together with certain tasks that have to be accomplished as a group, but it makes it happen so seamlessly, and even if you're playing by yourself. In a lot of games, when something requires a group, you would need to type something in the chat, or try to find people maybe on Discord or ask your friends, but in Sky, everything just falls into place naturally without needing to say a word. I also love how you can decide if you want to interact with the group or not, if you want to stick together after the group activity, or if you just want to part ways. It's the ideal multiplayer experience for introverts. So while I played, I had a lot of moments with random players, but eventually I decided it was time to make friends. The first friend I made was while I was climbing a very windy mountain. There were maybe around 7 of us walking together, but I didn't know anyone. I felt like I wanted to make a friend, I wanted to make some sort of connection, but I couldn't choose with who as there were so many people. Then 2 of us got suddenly blown away by the wind and fell all the way to the bottom of the mountain, separating us from the rest of the group. This felt like a bonding moment, like we were destined to be friends, so we lit each other's candle and I asked them to be friends. Surprisingly, the game asked me to pick a nickname for my new friend. The game doesn't tell you anyone's real name unless they decide to tell you, and you can then change the nickname later on, but I went for a random name for this one. So we climbed the mountain back up together, we held hands, which lets one player control both characters, and we helped each other, and we basically finished our first run of the game together. We did not exchange a single word, I have not seen them since, but they made the last few challenges so much more enjoyable and memorable. Shortly after finishing my first playthrough, I made another friend. He seemed a lot more experienced, he showed me around a few places, and eventually we sat at a table where 2 other players were already sitting. And then my friend started talking. I had been playing all this time, but only now did I get to actually chat with someone. These tables let you chat and they're a bit hard to get, but we took advantage of this table that was being used by other players. There was only one problem: my friend was speaking in Portuguese. Well, I thought it was a problem at first, but then he told me how I could translate his messages directly in the game. With the click of a button, the game translates any message sent by a player into your own language. This lets you communicate seamlessly in real time with people from all around the world. So I chatted with my new friend, we talked about our day and where we're from, he gave me some tips, and I got to ask him some questions about the game. He told me he's been playing for about 5 months, so it seems like you can really play this game for a while, and he said that there were always new updates and things to do. It was a fun chat, but eventually we left the table, and at that point I thought our discussion was over. However, my friend used some candles to unlock more interactions in our friendship skill tree, one of them being the chat, so now we were able to chat with each other at any time. Then another one of his friends showed up, and since I had not unlocked the chat with that person, I couldn't read their messages, but my new friend was relaying for us, and I thought that was pretty cute. So we went out, the three of us together, to explore. We were all holding hands, and that was such a memorable, heartwarming moment. I know it sounds so simple, but all of these interactions made me feel so good. Also, I love how Sky gives you the choice between different degrees of interactions with other players. So you can start by simply making a quick sound or emote. Then if you want to interact a bit more, you can reveal your appearance. If you'd like to see that player again, you can become friends. And eventually, once you're at a point where you feel familiar with that person, you're able to actually have a conversation. In a lot of games, interacting with other players is often a binary. Either you're playing together or you're not, you're friends or you're not. And it can be a bit awkward or difficult to approach new players. In Sky, friendships are more gradual, and I'm using that word a lot, but very seamless. This also helps making sure that the environment remains as wholesome as possible. For example, toxic players won't go through the whole process of becoming friends and spending a ton of candles on you just to send you some annoying messages. It's also not like other MMOs where you just walk around and there are messages and chats popping up everywhere, which can feel overwhelming. So the game is very social, but it remains calm and cozy. Even though I was not going into Sky with a multiplayer mindset, I ended up finding a really wholesome community with whom I went through some very heartwarming moments. Whether I was just doing some sounds with a stranger or having a long conversation with a new friend, social interactions made my time in Sky so warm and magical. Lastly, in order to be cozy, it is essential to feel relaxed. Your environment, the things you see, feel, and hear all contribute to this feeling, so in this section, I'll be discussing the atmosphere of Sky. If you've been watching this video, you already know Sky is such a beautiful game. If you've only been listening, just take a look for a minute. As the title of the game suggests, you're in the skies, so you're traveling from one floating island to another. Some have grass, sand, snow, some are sunny, others are rainy. There is such a good variety of environments, with quite a few jaw-dropping, gorgeous landscapes, and it's quite something when you fly across them for the very first time. A lot of the environments and characters in Sky also have a very vague appearance, making the game feel dreamy. Trees are often reduced to simple, long trunks with clouds hiding the top part. Spirits and players have little to no facial features, and even with buildings, structures don't always make sense, leaving a lot to the imagination. Is this mountain covered with snow, sand, ashes? I'm not too sure, but every player can interpret the world in their own way. The game doesn't overwhelm you with details or things to look at, so you can really just turn off your brain as you explore, but at the same time, everything is so grandiose, it really just looks like a beautiful dream. Having said that, the game does have a few spooky areas with these giant flying monsters that are trying to get you, so it's not devoid of danger. The dream can turn into a nightmare for a few minutes, but these moments are few and far between. They prevent the game from feeling monotonous, and just like in real life, sometimes going through darker times makes you appreciate the bright and happy moments even more. The whole experience is amplified by the music that has been playing in the background of this video. Once again, everything is so dreamy and beautiful. The various orchestral pieces all match the mood of their environments so well, so sometimes you'll hear wind and birds in the background with very calm music. In other phases of the game, things will get a lot more dramatic and loud, making it a real emotional journey with ups and downs. When I play games, I often have a video or some music playing in the background, but with Sky, I felt compelled to just turn everything off and focus entirely on the experience provided by the game. For me, playing Sky was so meditative. The dreamy environments, the atmospheric music, combined together allowed me to escape to this lovely world, completely disconnected from my real-life worries. A lot of games can have relaxing elements or mechanics to them, but here it seems like the whole game was built from the ground up with the sole purpose of being relaxing. So wrapping up, that relaxing atmosphere along with the warm and kind community and the comforting flow of the game make Sky Children of the Light truly the ultimate cozy game. It's not just a game that makes you feel cozy as a side effect of playing, because honestly most video games make me feel cozy, but here it's the main feature. Sky is a lot more about feelings than mechanics, which is why I have not really talked about the actual gameplay or technicalities of Sky, and that's what makes it so different from most other games. Once again, thank you so much to That Game Company, the developers of Sky Children of the Light, for sponsoring this video, supporting the channel, and giving me the chance to try something new. If you're intrigued by Sky and want to see if it makes you feel as cozy as it did for me, check it out with the links in the description, and don't forget it's free. Leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.